morning, friends, and welcome to Wednesday, April 12th, I believe. Yeah, April 12th. I slept very well last night, almost too well. I ended up sleeping in again. I need to break out of that habit eventually, or just stop being tired for some reason, because I get way too tired way too easily. So I'm gonna start drinking my coffee a little slower, and maybe see if only drinking 1 cup of coffee today will help me wake up a little better tomorrow. So we'll just take today's cup very slowly, which I am in the process of doing. Now, I didn't start recording immediately after I got it because I just wanted to let my phone charge, and I was just taking a break from screens for a little bit this morning anyway, just to kind of recharge my brain, get energized for the day, even though I don't really have all that much planned. But I thought it was a good idea to just kind of give my phone a break, and I've been drinking coffee myself since this morning, so let's share a sip though. It's not the first sip, but it's my first sip with you guys. Oh yeah. It's cold by now, but it still tastes great. I actually made a very good cup this morning, which is nice because I watched back yesterday's vlog and I'm like, oh, this is my best cup, but whatever. But this cup's good. I'm very content with the cup I made. Other than that, I haven't really been up to much this morning. I have been kind of reminiscing about the ending of Trails from Zero a bit. I was very happy with how the game ended, and I was very happy with the final dungeon, the final boss, all of it. And I might as well talk a little bit more about it now, because last night when I was recording the end of yesterday's vlog, it was nighttime, and I was getting a little tired on top of the fact that I had to be quiet because people were asleep. So I was like, oh, I can't talk too loud. But it is daytime, so I can talk as loud as I want. I will not be yelling, though, because that is bad for your voice, as is slouching. So I need to remember to sit up straight because I have a bad habit of slouching. I haven't been in choir in years, so I need to make my former choir members proud of me and continue proving that I have the best posture for whatever reason. I don't even know anymore. I'm just going on a tangent. Okay, back to the topic. Trails from Zero, to kind of give an overall, not necessarily review, but just to kind of give my own personal opinion, I guess, which technically counts as a review. I'm not going to be talking about the plot in detail, though. Don't worry. I'm not going to spoil it because this is a game you really should just experience yourself. The entire series, honestly. I'm almost hesitant to eventually do a Let's Play for this series because I would much rather just have people play the games themselves. It's a whole different ballpark when you're playing it yourself and witnessing the changes in the entire world across the series firsthand. Okay, second tangent over. Overall, my feelings of the game are that it's not necessarily my favorite Trails game quite yet. Or I say quite yet, but that's only because there are currently 2 Trails games that have been released in the US that I have not played yet, and that is Trails to Azure and Trails of Cold Steel 4, which I have technically started, but I think I'm still only on Act 1, so I'm not that far into Cold Steel 4 yet. But I think my favorite Trails game so far, it's a toss-up between it's actually really hard to choose. Out of the Cold Steel arc, Cold Steel 3 is my favorite. But the entire Trails in the Sky trilogy is a masterpiece in my eyes. Every single entry in the Trails in the Sky trilogy has something incredible to offer. And it makes it impossible to choose just one that I enjoy. I really like Trails in the Sky first chapter for that slow build-up leading towards this absolutely insane final chapter. It's a slow burn, a very, very slow burn, but if you can get behind the fact that it's just taking time to set up plot points, set up character arcs and things like that, basically for the next game, like don't like Trails in the Sky first chapter is basically a prologue to second chapter. Second chapter is where you'll get the bulk of this story, but like in its own right, as its own individual game, Sky First Chapter is an excellent RPG. It's got an incredible story. Like, while it's not super eventful and super high octane action all the time, it's just a really fun story. The writing is fantastic. Like, not only for the cutscenes, but for all the NPCs and seeing how they change and develop throughout the story. It's very satisfying. And then Trails in the Sky second chapter just basically improves upon everything first chapter introduced, and then some. Second chapter is, in its own right, an RPG masterpiece that everyone should play, and thus you should probably play first chapter because you likely won't understand what's going on in second chapter if you haven't played first chapter. And then Trails in the Sky the third. Now, before I got into that game, people told me that Sky the Third wasn't canon and that you could skip it and be fine. That is very much not the case. Sky the Third explains so much and sets up so many plot points for later games. It's okay, I can understand where people are coming from. I'm not necessarily getting heated about this, I'm just very passionate about it. I can understand where people are coming from, and if you don't want to play Sky the Third, I mean, be my guest. I'm not gonna force you into doing anything. Like, hell, you can play the Trails games in reverse if you want to. You might not enjoy it all that much that way, but you can if you want to. Like, it's your life. You do what you freaking want. It's just recommended, highly recommended, to play them in order because that's how the story is told. Even though they're individual games, they are all still telling one individual or one single comprehensive story. So that's what's happening there. But Sky the Third, that's another reason why I love it so much. It does introduce a lot of amazing plot points. And secondly, where else was I going with this? Oh yeah, Trails from Zero. It does a lot that I really like. The weird, like, it is kind of weird to get used to a game where you can't really turn the camera like you can in the Sky Trilogy or in the Cold Steel games. But the static camera angle, I feel, kind of works in a lot of ways. And I really enjoyed the kind of isometric perspective the game had. It kind of brought me back to some of the older RPGs, like Super Mario RPG and stuff. Like, a lot of those games have an isometric perspective or point of view. The characters were amazing. There were only 4 primary protagonists, and there are some that kind of join your party throughout the game, but the story mainly focuses on the main 4, the special support section. And watching them all develop together throughout the game, that was probably my favorite part. Seeing how they go from, rookie cops at the very beginning who are getting frequently compared to the Racer Guild and called incompetent as a reason, to working alongside the Racer Guild and essentially being on their same level. It is really nice to see that develop throughout the story. The combat, it's the same. It evolves a little bit from what the Sky games did, but for the most part, it's the same. But I really enjoyed Trails from Zero a lot, and I would recommend it to anyone. With that being the case, it sounds like there are people in the apartment, so I'm going to stop recording for now, but I'll check in with you guys later. It's evening now, as you can probably tell by looking outside. Yeah, look at that sunset. Although the sun has technically already set. Whoa, camera's a little close to the face. I am just watching more of Steven's vlogs right now. And yeah, that's about it. I'm probably going to play some Etrian Odyssey. Maybe try Skyrim out. My brother kind of convinced me to reinstall it. I initially stopped for a while because I got a little intimidated by the scope of the game, but he kind of talked about it to me, and I'm like, you know what, I'll give the game another try. So I've reinstalled it and will likely give it more of a try. But Etrian Odyssey 4 is kind of my main game right now, because I love the Etrian games very much. I was on the phone with Kayla again pretty much all day, so that was nice. And I didn't get as much writing as I hoped I would, but that's okay. I still got some writing done, and, 20% is better than 0%, or what's the phrase? Or 20% is better than nothing when you can't, or when you aren't feeling up to doing 80% or something like that. Basically, if you're not quite feeling up to the task that you've set out to do, it's okay that you at least do a little bit of the task than to do none of it at all. And that's kind of what I did. And I don't have any more ramblings to go on about Trails from Zero like I did earlier. I feel like I said all that I wanted to say earlier. And speaking of which, I think I've said all I wanted to say today. So I think I'll end today's vlog off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all very much, and I'll see you next time.